Am I streaming already? All right, looks like I am streaming. Let me pull it up, make sure that I am online. All right, let me see. Hopefully I'm live right now. I would be very disappointed if I am not. Okay. Studio mode. Settings. It's supposed to be YouTube here. In fact, I should be able to pull this up right now and see if anybody's watching me. Oh, I am live. Okay, awesome. All right. Forgive me, it is 2:18 a.m. here where I am on the other side of the world from the United States. I'm in Cambodia at my studio, and I had to get on. I'm still getting used to live, so if you're sending stuff, I'm not seeing it. I'm still just getting used to all of this. But I will tell you this, I had to go live because there's so much to talk about with AI that I had to jump on. And it's kind of overwhelming. I am trying to convert everything to actual AI to demonstrate how to use it. That doesn't seem to be tracking. And I've noticed that the ones that I am speaking directly to you rather than an avatar, people seem to like that more. So that indicates I should probably go live, and here I am. What I wanted to talk about specifically, because I put out a video just about an hour ago, talking about this, and it's all over the news, is this idea that there's an AI bloodbath coming. And I wanted to look at the way this is ramping up as the new thing of the news cycle. And it's actually been happening for a long time. What Dario Amadeus is talking about, all of them have been talking about for the last 2 or 3 years. Even Larry Ellison was in the White House trying to get $400 or $500 billion to basically duplicate what China is doing, pouring billions and billions of dollars into the AI race. And many people don't understand what AI is. And it's not just the product. When you think about AI, you've got to think about AI as a tool. If you're a kid of the 80s, one of your favorite movies might have been, like mine, Conan the Barbarian, the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Earl Jones. And there's this fantastic scene where Conan is chained to a tree, and the evil guy, played by James Earl Jones, Thulsa Doom, is lecturing Conan on what's important. And he's looking at Conan like Conan's a child. And, Conan's like, "You killed my mother, you killed my father." And James Earl Jones is like, "Hey, yeah, I've been there, done that. Yeah, I got a lot of people mad at me." And then he looks at him and he goes, "Ah, you're one of the smart ones. You know the riddle of steel." And the riddle of steel back then, everyone was using iron swords. And if you knew how to make a steel sword, you could beat anybody. And that's one of the things that make Conan so strong, besides the muscles. But the interesting thing is that he looks at him and kind of smirks and says, "Yeah, I chased things like that when I was younger. Now that I am older, I understand." And he points up, and the camera goes up, and you see all of these people standing around this colonnade, looking down at the throne room where Thulsa Doom is with Conan. And he points up and he goes, you, my child," and he signals. And this woman just steps off the colonnade and just falls to the ground. Poof. And he turns to Conan and he says this. He says, "You see that, boy? That is power. What is a sword compared to the hand that wields it. And that's what you have to see about AI. AI isn't about the sword. We're getting caught up in the sword, and we're buying all of these platforms and we're learning how to do these neat little tricks. But what we're failing to realize is that they're not after the sword, they're after the power. They want to wield the power that AI has. And what is the power that AI has? Well, it's the same power you have. It is the power to duplicate yourself. It is the power to hire a staff that you really pay pennies on the dollar for. It is the power to take every idea you have and maybe not build it, even if it's something that's mechanical or something that you use your hands to do rather than a robot. Being able to flush that idea out, explain it, research it, figure it out on your own without having to rely on, the government education system, without having to rely on anything else other than your ability to ask the computer properly, tell me, teach me, or make me this. That's power. So when you see them running around talking about a bloodbath, that's really sort of a misnomer. This is not a bloodbath. This is a situation where there's a new tool and people are really, they don't know about it. It can be kind of dangerous in the wrong hands. One thing I will say about it is kind of an opportunity because they are still trying to figure it out. And they're using open source, which means they're bringing us in to help figure it out. But while we are figuring it out, we have the opportunity to, figure out our own things like our own rags, our own systems, some of the stuff I talk about on Simple Agentics. We can make our own stuff and still have the power when they lock everything up. I'll tell you what's going to happen. What's going to happen is they're going to come out and they're going to say, hey, this is kind of unsafe. We can't have, you can't have the BB gun. You'll shoot your eye out. And so they're going to say, for your own safety, we're going to lock this behind a paywall and a whole bunch of certification, and only a certain people will be able to do it. Only certain people, yada, 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 yada. And so the real money for Gen Xers is become an AI trainer, become a change management agent, become the person in the department they go to when nobody understands the AI term, become there was a video I did a while back, become the corporate okie doke guy who jumps forward and goes, hey man, I know AI. I think we need to develop, a new system and call it, blah, blah, blah AI. I'll spearhead it, be that guy. And I think that's where this is going. So when you hear me or other people talking about making money with AI, understand we're not talking about making money from AI necessarily. We're doing a lot of AI adjacent stuff, right? AI is a tool. It's like for years, I worked for hardware stores. I worked for Home Depot years ago, and all these people would come in and they would ask, where are the drills? And we had all kinds of drills from different places. And it always amazed me. We've got lots and lots of drills, and nobody ever wanted a drill. They wanted a hole. You don't want AI. What you want is to figure out how AI can be an effective tool in your life, your business, or whatever you got going on. And here's the problem. Even if you don't like it, you will be expected to know. And we have seen this before. And this is the message I keep repeating over and over again. We are probably the primary generation who should be loving this thing, because everything is all around the world the same song. All around the world the same song. All around the world, it's the same song. It's the Disneyfication of society. Everything that's sold in the 1920s is going to be rebundled and sold in the 1930s and the 1940s. Now it's going to be wrapped with AI and a new wrapper and resold. So if you know where the market's going, be there first. Do the Gretzky. If you know where the puck is going, don't chase it. Be where the puck is going. And you know where the puck is going. How could you possibly be watching the NVIDIA chip battles and investing in NVIDIA without understanding it's not investing in the big companies that's going to make you money. It's finding the adjacent companies that are going to make you money. You want to make money right now. If I were you, I would be looking at energy companies, because the roadblock that they are hitting right now is energy. They need to find new methods of energy, so they're investing in startups. They need to find old. You know what? China's looking at nuclear facilities just to run AI. Now, I don't know where this is going to be 5 or 10 years from now. Even Dario Amodei hopes that things will get great. I don't know. Giving a tool, giving a BB gun, even to a well-mentioned kid, it can end up bad. And that's what everybody is afraid of. But I do know that Silicon Valley wants the money. I do know that they're putting a lot of money into it. I do know that China is putting an exorbitant amount of money into AI. And I'm not going to say anything more about that, although I could, but I won't. I think that it's a situation where it will inevitably be a bubble, but every new industry blows up at a bubble, but when it settles back down into what's going to be the normal status, going to be, and I hate this word, normalized. Within that passage from, oh my God, what is this? Let's invest a bunch of money, boom. Oh, there's a lot of opportunity, especially if you are watching the cycle. I mean, do it for yourself. Get on Perplexity or any of the LLMs. For me, I think Perplexity is the best in research. In fact, many people have said that. Get on Perplexity, get on the free version, and ask this simple question. Demonstrate the parallels between the dot-com boom, the real estate boom, and what's now the AI boom. And you've got a lot of people out there now going, oh, the bubble's bursting, the bubble. The bubble hasn't even begun yet. How do I know? Because most people haven't started adopting it. Think about where the Bitcoin bubble burst. Where the Bitcoin bubble burst, right? It came out, first wave. And before it was Bitcoin, what was the other coin? And it blew up. Then Bitcoin was the big one. And it got big, and then it went down, but it's still here. There's going to be the ups and downs. But think about the people who got into Bitcoin the first time when they said, oh, that's never going to work. That's all that cryptocurrency stuff, blah, 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 blah. I don't care how you feel about it now. Looking back, I know you wish you had bought a couple of Bitcoins back when it was a couple of nerds on there going, we want security. But now we have AI. And look at what's happening. And I've already had a platform today that sent me an email saying we no longer exist. And I'm like, what the heck? I never even got a message that you weren't going to exist. Ooh, that's bright. I just noticed that. Let me see if I can turn that light off. And I got, it was just a message, just a kind of a goodbye message. I'm thinking, well, yeah, it was a free service, actually. I hadn't paid for it, but if I had, I'd be very, very upset. But I knew this was going to happen because sooner or later, there was going to be a shakeout. Sooner or later, there was going to be, and it's just begun. Think about all of these platforms that we've all joined that do cool pictures and cool voices and all of this stuff. Pretty soon, the big ones are going to start putting out their own, and only a few will survive. I think Runway will probably survive. I think that all of the other little ones are just going to go away. They're going to be absorbed by the big ones. One thing that I am definitely big on is going out and downloading all of the models. If you're not familiar with Hugging Face and Civitai and GitHub, of course, there is a treasure trove of stuff on there if you just learn how to use it. Just take a couple of days, one weekend, even a week, and go slow and learn how to use GitHub. When you look at it, it's going to look like just hieroglyphics. It was really strange. You know, I come from a liberal arts background, communication, psychology, and I'm looking at all these numbers and signals and stuff, and I'm like, whoa. And I was about to jump in, and I've started getting into Python, and that's just a recommendation. You just got to learn some Python stuff. You will along the way, especially if you're going to do like me and start branching into vibe coding. Woo! Whole different topic. If you look behind me, I did this after, this is a video I haven't put out yet, but I made this thumbnail after spending an afternoon of vibe coding, because you're sitting there and you're trying to explain, and all these thoughts and ideas and creativity are going out into AI. And I'm sitting there, and the only thing I could think of was this image. Down so you guys can see it. Oh. Anyway, you'll see it in the thumbnail. Yeah, I'm a Warhammer fan. What of it? But it was just the idea that AI is on your mind 24/7 if you are planning to ride this wave, and I am riding this wave. And I'm trying to look at it at every angle. And I'm trying to not get caught up, as they say, old analogy, but it still works, cliche, but it still works. I'm trying not to get so caught up in the gold rush that I miss where the true fortune is, which is where you sell shovels. And we've seen this before. And the question is, what shovel did you buy? What course did you buy? What group did you join? What internet business did you start? What did you sell? What did you invest in back then? Or what do you wish you had invested in? And I'll bet if you do the research, you're going to find that there's something from back then that can now be made better, quicker, faster, easier with AI. And you can be the first to launch that idea. And I think that is where the opportunity lies in AI. And I saw a video the other day. It was interesting. They said the AI businesses that are going to make the most money aren't the exciting ones, like doing this. It's going to be the boring ones, because that's what AI was intended to do. It was intended to take away those boring, monotonous jobs so that we could be doing the creative aspect, right? We are the catalyst. We are the hand that wields the sword of AI. The problem is that many people are going to cut themselves. Many people don't know how to use a sword, and they're going to step out there and they're going to have all of these people train them to use a sword, and they're just going to cut their heads off. And you already see that happening. I can't tell you the number of groups I've joined and platforms I've joined only to get really, really angry because you can't get any help. And I'm not talking about fly-by-night stuff. I'm talking about, like, don't get me started with Facebook. We do the IG, we don't do the Facebook. Facebook has been just a nightmare for me, so I don't do it. I'm very angry. I got very angry with those people. I can't find anybody to talk to. I have tried to get a new Facebook page 10 times after I have a Facebook page for 15 years, and they just took it. So that kind of stuff is going to happen. And always remember, when you're out here putting your stuff on the internet, as of 2014, anything on the internet is permanent. It's somewhere. Whether it's buried in a cave somewhere, it's somewhere on a server. So keep in mind, it's kind of one of the reasons that drives you to do YouTube, because years from now, many, many, many years from now, when they dig us up or dig up the human civilization or what's left of it, they'll pull out YouTube and they'll go, wow, they really loved cats. Anyway, the whole scare that's coming down with AI. There's 2 ways to approach it, actually 3 ways. The first way is to freak out. They're driving that push right now. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, which is kind of funny that it happens the week after Google and everybody else put out their new AI tools. Suddenly, learn AI, or your job's going to die. And I'm like, wow, this is clever. And so this is going to ride the news cycle. So as you guys are running out to embrace AI and AI services and AI certification, understand that right now the whole field, especially the certification aspect of it, is still being defined. Even Google right now is offering their certification, the whole AI stack, for free for 7 days, and then it's like $39 a month. But the problem is, it's going to take you more than just a few flashcards and vocabulary words to really understand what's going on with AI. Because AI isn't what you think it is. AI flowers into agentics. And agentics is simply, if you think of Gru and the minions, well, you would be Gru and the minions would be AI. And you know how Gru has this crazy master idea and he tries to get the minions to do it, but they always do some stupid stuff like they're hallucinating. And so it takes him, on the edge of blowing up everything to finally get something done. Welcome to agentics. And agentics, by the way, is a phrase I have coined. People are just now starting to push and understand. And I want to say this now. In the developer community, when they talk about agents, they don't like the term anymore. I think it's because the term is becoming commercial. It's kind of like what killed disco. Everybody loved it. And then when you saw it on TV and everywhere, you're like, that's not cool. We don't like disco. It's new age now, or new wave, new age. Anyway, I'm an 80s kid. I digress. What's happening is you're seeing a number of companies that are starting to block access a little bit. And I think the reason is because it's not a safety. It's simply because they know what you're going to get your hands on. Gru is powerful as a secret criminal, whatever, because he has all of those minions. He doesn't really control the minions, but he can instruct the minions and he can influence them enough to help him, whatever he's trying to do. And they're trying really, really hard, right? And I think that AI is the same way. It's been programmed, and we don't want to say programmed now. And trust me, I understand semantics. Trust me. They don't want to say programmed anymore because that's a scary word. Because when you program a computer, it sounds very, HAL 9000. And so the word they're using now is training, which is the same thing. But what you have to understand about the training is being trained on everything since 2014. That's the D-Day when everything went online. And it's being trained on us. So think about this for a second. If it is being trained on everything they could cobble together and throw on the internet prior to 2014, a lot of that stuff was Gen X. And then they brought it forward and we watched the transition. All of the music and everything else from the 70s and the 80s, and even up into the 90s, is what is feeding this thing. And they're trying to season it with a bit more, modern day stuff. But if you really think about it, because we understand the boomers, because we live through what this thing has been trained on, and because we gave birth to the other two generations that are experiencing it, 2 or 3 now, I don't know. How old are we? Never old. We should understand AI better than most. The other thing is, what is AI looking for? If you're going to train AI, you're not going to train it on something you don't know. These kids might know 1 + 1, but they don't have wisdom. That is what separates AI from being, just a bot to being something that we, can really deal with and work with. And that's why we fear that Planet of the Apes moment. There was the moment when an AI said something an AI had never said before. It said no. Planet of the Apes. Look it up. Roddy McDowell, the best Cornelius. No, he wasn't Cornelius. Is that it, Cornelius? No, Caesar. Caesar. Yeah, he played Caesar, the main ape. Anyway, you can tell I'm a kid of the 80s. Love movies, love television. Tell me what you like in the comments. Maybe I will figure out how to work the comments one day. Somebody put that in the comments too. And by the way, join Simple Agentics. Subscribe. Going to have a lot of cool stuff happening. So, if it's trained on us, and not only is it trained on us, we witnessed the history it was trained on, is being trained on, and we know what it has to be trained on. Think about that for a moment. The numbers add up. So if anybody has an opportunity to take advantage of becoming a AI liaison or agentic liaison or agentics, whatever the new title will be, it's you. Because garbage in, garbage out. It's the same old stuff in a new packaging, right? I mean, there's not really a whole lot of difference between what they're doing, which is instead of the programs just being programs, now we're linking the programs together and having them do their own thing while talking to each other and performing different services as a team, which means it still needs team leaders, which means it still needs a project manager who's overseeing and making sure that the damn thing doesn't hallucinate. Gru doesn't just tell the minions, go run away with it, and then walk away. He has to corral them. And sometimes it's like herding cats. And if you have used Windsurf, Cursor, or any of the others to vibe code, the vibe is herding cats. Because it will hallucinate in a hot minute. It will say, oh yeah, I've connected this. Yeah, but we haven't even subscribed to that. Oh, you're right. It does that frequently. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm just now getting into Windsurf, and simply because I want to start working on my back end. I apologize. I keep going join Simple Agentics, and I took apart the back end, and I'm trying to put it back together, and it's a nightmare. And it's so bad. I have both Chinese and American AIs working to get it back together. It's crazy. And tokens. Oh, yeah. Here's one thing I heard today, and I really, really suggest. If you are working a lot or starting to work a lot, do a lot of stuff with Claude or Perplexity or any of them, I have them all in the stack, tell it in your master prompt just to give you the bare facts. Spare me the nice speeches, spare me all of the extra stuff. Just give me what I need to know at that moment. Because tokens, every time it tells you this, how are you doing and blah, 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 it takes tokens. And tokens are exactly what they sound like. They are just like the ones you used to put in the arcade at Sega Center. They are tokens that you pay every time you ask it a question, every time you get information, especially if it's a long prompt and it's a long process, you putting them tokens in the machine. And it's Space Invaders in your wallet. Loved that game. Sacrificed a lot of quarters to Space Invaders. And thinking back, there's no way you could ever win it. What a racket that was. And you know that's coming. For example, we know what AI is going to do to gaming. Or do we? You check out Veo? That's off the chain. I heard something really, really, really interesting today about Veo, and one of the other major YouTubers, they put it very succinctly. They said, look, when I was a kid, my parents had to tell me the difference between fantasy and reality. Now I have to turn around and do it for my parents and my grandparents. And they put out this warning, and I'm going to repeat this warning. You need to go talk to your living relatives who are older than you, meaning your parents and your grandparents, and you need to explain to them what a VAO3 is, and that every newscast they see may not be a newscast. Every alien, I'm thinking War of the Worlds, isn't real. Everything you see now has gone way beyond the news shows. VAO3 is scary, and I'll bet you a dime to a donut they're going to use VAO3 as the excuse to lock down AI. And when they start locking down AI, my suggestion is you get over to GitHub and you get as much as you can onto hard drives. From what I understand right now, it'll take about a 4 terabyte hard drive. You can do SSD, or you can do, I recommend SSD. I'm having a real fun time right now with HDDs. I bought a 12 terabyte. It blew up. Thanks for that. It's wonderful when you order a 12 terabyte hard drive from America. It takes 3 weeks to get here. It costs you a fortune, plus in customs and everything else. You stick it in your machine, the power goes out and fries the hard drive. Ouch. And so I haven't been able to do my comfy UI stuff and some of the other GitHub stuff that I would like to show you because I've got a system down. I'm working on bare bones right now. But hopefully I will be able to get that up. Hopefully, I will get some people to join and help me out here, because at least subscribe. A brother puts in a lot of time experimenting so I can talk to you about the latest in AI. It's going to be my goal to find out all of the stuff that's going out all over the world and then bring it to you and tell you how you can use it every day. Hopefully I've done a little bit of this on this live right now, some of the stuff I've been finding out. What has been the hardest part? Oh, by the way, tomorrow is June. In 2 days is June 1st, and it will be the 6-month anniversary of Simple Agentics. If you look back in the stack, you'll see I started and I did a show live one on the 1st. And that was when I launched the company, and it was my goal to figure out AI, to build an AI business, and to show you guys live how it's done. It was also my goal in 6 months to get 100 videos up, and I got up 103. Actually, this will be 104, so that's pretty awesome. Exceeded. And turning the chapter, I think you can see I'm going to focus more on being sort of a news type of thing. When I find stuff out, I'll let you know. So join the Simple Agentics YouTube community, and soon the other communities will be going up. Substack is going to be going up very soon. And I'm also going to get the school up and running. And let me tell you what's going to be in the school. I'm just going to start pulling all of these different tools and creating how-tos and sort of showing you specifically how a Generation Xer could use it. Because a lot of this stuff, it seems very, very simple on the surface, and then you get underneath and it's difficult. It's really difficult, or it's costly. And a lot of the ways that they'll say, hey, come on in, it's free for blah, blah, blah. And that's really not a way to build a business. If you're really serious about using this as a serious side hustle, not just a hobby, you're serious about making this into something that will make you money, something that will help you preserve your job, something that will get you promoted, something that will help you get a job, well, you have to start thinking differently about AI. It is a tool. So you have to sit down and first of all, think about what are the problems I have and what tools do I need? Start there. I found the best way to handle it is think big picture first. What is it you're trying to achieve? and then work backwards. I see too many people who go, okay, I'm not sure what I want to do. I'm just going to start building it and going forward. That never works. You get lost, you get angry because you don't know where you're going. And it's impossible to get someplace if you don't know where you're going. So I would simply start with, what are the problems you have in your life right now? And I know that sounds very cliche and crazy, but that's where you start seeing the little things. For example, here's one that's a problem for everybody. What's for dinner? Who's cooking? What I gotta buy? If you kept track of everything you ate for a month, just speak it in your phone, write it in there, fed it to AI and told it to build you an app, you could do that. Or it could use an Excel sheet. It could find several ways to help you not have to ask that question, what do you want to eat? I don't know, what do you want to eat? All those little things that you spend time organizing, you can flip off instead of sending it to Notion, which you can do. But while you're doing that, why not learn to build your own Notion? Think about what's being set up here. You're going to have companies like Notion. They're going to expand and encompass all these other little companies, and then you're going to be paying $200 a month. This is what OpenAI is doing. They're having a difficulty justifying a $20 a month plan and then jumping to a $200 a month plan. So they're going to take, they just bought Windsurf. They just bought a couple of others. They're starting to buy up all the other companies. They're going to roll them up in there. And if you want the real like Adobe cloud experience, it's going to be OpenAI Cloud. And you're going to find yourself paying $200 a month. And it's like, wow, I have a cell phone, iPhone, that's $500, it's $200. So that's why I'm saying start collecting the hardware now. And so when that happens, your stuff might be slower, but number one, it'll be yours, no censorship. Number two, it'll be yours, you won't be charged for it. And number three, it'll be yours, they can't take it away from you. You know it's coming. And it always starts with a scare. Whenever they start talking about be scared, and how much more scared can you be than the bloodbath is coming? Well, if you watch the movie The War of the Worlds, the funny thing about it is, if you run where everybody else is running, that's where the aliens are waiting. They figure that out pretty quick. That's how that's how the humans work. You scare them, they clump together, and they run in that direction where you are waiting. That is what's waiting on the other side for you. Is Veo letting you make funky videos while funding their projects to build a big sword that you're never going to touch because you are far from their idea of King Arthur. And they want $400 billion to pull that sword, that AI sword, out of the stone. And they've already got a name for it. I will name you AGI. Wow. And it's one of those things, can we? Yeah. Should we? No. Can we stop it? Too late. I give it a year. And here's the problem. Every job that you see being lost for whatever reason, and I stay away from politics except when it comes to AI. Every job you see being lost, and you hear them going, it's going to make more jobs and we're going to have better jobs. What they're not being honest about is the type of job. You see, when you look, and if you look at the video I put out today and you'll see the numbers for this month, what it says is there were like 1 million jobs created, but there were like 900 million eliminated. And they're like, oh, we have a gain of 200 million, something like that, some math like that. But what they're not telling you is the jobs that are being eliminated are not just jobs, they're whole sectors, they're whole industries. And so it's not like these jobs, somebody walks in and goes, hey, Fred, your job's gone, but here's a new job. No, it's going to be like, hey, Fred, your job's gone. See ya. Now we're looking for someone who can do blah, blah, blah and AI. By the way, it always starts, and this is what made me fall in love with communication and why I've studied it for so many years along with psychology. If you want to see a societal shift, what shifts first is the language. That is by necessity, because you have to have the propaganda that lays the foundation, plants the seed for the action. And so when the propaganda shifts, it starts with the renaming of words. When we move them from, we take words like, well, what words can I say that won't get me in trouble here? The word crumbs versus the word trickle-down economics. It's all in how you phrase it. When they went from calling people insurance recipients to high-risk candidates, it's all in the verbiage. AI has been the wonder kid. Now the verbiage is shifting to there's going to be a bloodbath. That tells you that right now, today, the news cycle is shifting. And how is it shifting? It's shifting to do one of a few things. Either it's shifting to censor AI because of VEO, too much, too fast, or two, it's shifting the news cycle because they don't want you to see something. Either way, shouldn't matter to you. Most of the people I'm talking to are of the wrong opinion that nothing is going to change, everything will be the same. Well, is that what happened with the internet? Remember, it is not about AI, it's about the sword. Think about it. Your boss can replace any and all physical male functions, billing, communications, accounting. He might not fire everybody. He'll keep somebody to watch over the AI to make sure it's not hallucinating. And that person might have a couple of people, but the majority of those people are gone. And why? Well, think about researchers. I was doing a bunch of research the other day, and I'm just pulling articles and making arguments and saying, verify this. And I'm checking the stuff as I'm going along. And I'm like, where'd you find this? And it's pulling it up. And oh my God, Manus. If you have not tried Manus, Manus has this really cool feature. And this will explain the difference between AI and agentics. People are getting caught up on AI. It's not about AI, it's about agentics. And agentics is using multiple weapons. Now you graduated to like super martial arts. Here's the thing. ChatGPT is a large language model. It's an LLM. Basically, it is a huge collection of everything that we have learned since 2014 and everything that we learned before then that we could pile onto hard drives before in 2014 they went, that's enough. Anything that didn't make it, I'm done. Okay, so that body of knowledge is what ChatGPT runs out and uses and then comes back with an answer and charges you tokens. Okay, so what is agentics? Well, if you said, hey, ChatGPT, I need you to build me, to code, and yeah, it'll code for you. And then I need you to connect this to, whoa. Right there, chat goes, connect? Well, I'll connect to your Gmail. But if you want me to connect to something else to do something else, I can't really do that. I'm going to need something else. And that's where you have make.com, Zapier, N8N, and some others. And their whole job is to enable communication between the different platforms or agents that you are using. So it will, for example, grab I'm working out something right now, and this is why my back end is all over the place. And trying to, I know what I want to do, but it's hard to do because of agents. I got a ConvertKit. Won't do that again. Now I'm on MailerLite because MailerLite has a better API. An API is basically the phone number of the other app. The API allows one app to talk to another app. These apps, by the way, are called agents. And I know the developer is going to be on here. I'm not a developer. I'm explaining it in a way that, non-developers, so don't jump on me. I'm using analogies. That's not exact. Basically, what happens is ChatGPT goes, well, hey, I would really like to reach out to your database. Your hard drive's not big enough. It's not fast enough. It's not, organized enough. I need a database. I talk better with that. And you're like, well, yeah, man, build me a database. No. That's very, very complicated. You got to know SQL, all this. And you're like, okay, what do you need? And it says, well, there's this platform, this app, this thing, and we'll call it Notion. Or if you want to get a little bit more advanced, we'll go Airtable. These are databases. And so in order for your LLM to talk to that database, one agent to another agent, it's got to have the phone number. That's the API. Once you get that secret phone number, they can talk to each other. Now you have two AI agents working together. Now you've gone into agentics. Okay. And if you can get enough minions, you can really get yourself in a lot of trouble like Gru does. But if you can learn to talk to the minions and bring the minions together into a team and get them to believe in your vision. Wow. Wait, are we talking about humans? Now we're talking about AI that's trained on humans. This is the strategy, the expertise that you need to focus on if you're making that career transition or trying not to get laid off or trying to get a job. Now, here's what I would say. Let's say that, and I love these, it's time for the review, which is really going to be beg for your job. And everybody's going to go, oh, say the word AI. Say you work out with this. Say you work with LLM. Say you blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that'll work for a little while, but pretty soon they're going to see through that. They're going to see it for what it is. They're going to see it as bullshit. So when you are asked as a teacher or anyone else, how do you incorporate AI into your whatever it is you do? Here's what you need to say. You need to say, well, first of all, I understand that AI is a tool that can never replace human creativity or innovation. However, it is such an incredible tool that I am able to work with it, and it amplifies my talent. What people fail to realize is that it's the communication that is used to construct the communication that is used to construct the prompts that allows for the better and more efficient execution of AI task and agentics. And as you can see by my resume, I'm very good at working with teams, whether they be digital or human. By the way, who is handling your AI initiatives? You don't have any AI initiatives. Oh. Well, perhaps I could help you. So, just having a little fun there. Understand the lingo, because as I mentioned before, if a social shift starts with either the introduction of new words or the changing of old words into something that carries with it a message, because remember, words are just symbols. Words are just buckets for emotions and thoughts. So stop listening to the bucket and listen what's in what they're saying. A whole lot of people keep getting in trouble by creating the wrong slogan or following the wrong slogan because they're listening to the words instead of listening to the symbols. That's where you need to focus, because that's where ChatGPT focuses. That's what it's been trained to focus on. Us. It's not foreign. It is us. Maybe that's why we're so afraid of it, because we know it is us. You know, I kind of tease I have a very, very religious family, very religious background, and I tease them all the time. I said, you know, heaven couldn't possibly exist in the way we think of it. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, well, you know, if one human goes there, it's heaven. If the second human shows up and says, I don't want the streets paved with gold, I want them paved with platinum, now heaven just became hell. I wonder if I'm going to get probably in trouble for that on YouTube. But anyway, the point is this: like it or not, it's here. And you've got an opportunity to frame it in a way that you can sell your wisdom and excellence in a new way, right? It's the same stuff, right? The internet has never been anything more than a content aggregation system. What makes the internet effective is the fact that you can go to one place with a few keys and you can find out just about anything from anything. You can be entertained, you can be taught, you can find it all there. Well, now this has become way more personal and way more defined. It's the same stuff. It's the same information. It's just now, the perfect analogy. And I've said this before, and I'll keep with it because it works. If you have seen the movie Limitless, the Limitless pill is just like AI. Remember, with the Limitless pill, it didn't make you smart. You would take the Limitless pill and it would take what you already had and it would amplify it. If you were a great conversationalist, now you were a fantastic conversationalist. If you had read 1,000 books, well, now you were 1,000 books smarter. But if you were an idiot, you'd be like semi-smart. This is the situation with AI. It isn't going to make people geniuses. What it's going to do is it's going to allow the people that already have something in here, that have the ideas, that have the drive, that have the creativity. Those are the people that are going to seize these tools like a Limitless pill, and they're just going to go out and do amazing things. Government and big business withstanding. But those who have no ideas, you have nothing to feed the machine. And the machine feeds on ideas. The machine feeds on ideas. And the thing about it is it's also an excuse remover, because all of those ideas you have, you can test them in simulation. Or you could follow through. You have no excuses. Now, it's not perfect yet, okay? It's far, I stepped away from the microphone. It's far from perfect. And the reason it's far from perfect is it's still training. And it's learning, and it's learning, and it's learning. You know, it kind of makes me upset when I'm on ChatGPT and I'm paying money for it and they're popping up, hey, train my AI, which do you like better? I'm like, dude, haven't I pressed enough stoplights? Haven't I discovered enough motorcycles? Haven't I trained your AI for free a month? Now I'm paying for it and I'm still training? Get your own stuff. Tell me what you like to hear. You know why I'm here. I'm here to help Gen X take advantage of AI because I really feel we're going to get left behind. We've already been crunched between the baby boomers who still haven't given up power. And now we have, you know, the millennials are here. And some of you are millennials. I call you the blessed millennials because you're at the bottom of the Gen X. So you're actually Gen X with us. And then we have that other, what are they, Z, A, double alpha, whatever. We got crunched. By the time the boomers finally give up power, they will have skipped X completely, and they'll be pulling in late millennials. I claim the early millennials. Y'all X, you just don't know it. But the situation is that when this new power that's being wielded quite easily by young people, we're going to get cut out. Let me give you an example. When I went to graduate school, it was 1991. We barely had, what was it, Corel? Yeah, WordPerfect. We barely had that stuff. I was still using card catalogs. And I had to do my bibliography in APA. I had to do it and alphabetize it on note cards and then type it into Corel or into WordPerfect. Now, you can sit down with Perplexity, and if you run the survey, you don't even have to worry about SPSS. You just say, hey, look, I have numbers. Tick, 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 tick. Ooh, I have results. And nobody's talking about that. It's kind of scary. The research that you can be done, but here's the problem. You have to have somebody to check it. But it doesn't take as many people to check it as it used to take to create it. That's where the bloodbath comes in. It's not everybody's getting cut. What's going to happen is those who are at the level that might be able to manage those who key critical systems, and you might be surprised what some of those are, depending on the company and depending on who the company leader is. What you're going to have to do, those of you that are especially in middle management, you're going to have to sing for your supper. Middle management's going to have to sing for their supper. And if you can't, if you've been hanging around and you've been kind of corporate okie doking and you ain't done nothing lately, you better be thinking about AI. And if you're not, some young kid's going to come up and take your job. And you're going to find yourself in a situation where you hope you have enough money to retire while you try to figure out a side gig or something else to keep the money going, because prices ain't going down. That's not a political statement. That's just fact. And what are you going to do for money? And it's not like, a lot of people are looking at AI as a side gig. And I began looking at it as a side gig. And it's not a side gig teaching people to use these tools, being first mover on understanding these tools, being able to go to your job who hasn't adopted these tools and you offer to create those initiatives and monitor that. You know how the game is played? If you aren't doing that already, you're late to the game. And the game's just getting started. So, oh my God, at 3:15 in the morning, I'm going to bed. And those are just my thoughts. Tell me what you guys want to talk about. Tell me what you want to hear about simple agentics, about what I'm finding out. And I am finding out a whole lot of stuff building this AI business. It's pretty interesting. I'm finding some things are true, a lot of things aren't. But before you start running down that road thinking that you're going to be the next AI whatever, the next Dario Amodei, check out some of my videos. I'm going to start really taking a look at some of this stuff. And again, and this goes for you guys that are investing in stocks. I get a lot of people asking me that. I don't know why they ask me. I don't know. I did stocks for a while. I simply could not take the psychology of stocks. You have to have a certain psychology to do the stocks. And it's nerve-wracking. It's insane. If you can do stocks, you can do AI. And those of you trying to do stocks with AI, don't do that. You can ask questions. You can do the research. Nothing regarding economics or stock brokering will ever take the place of research. And that's the one thing that you will make money doing stocks with AI with. Not having AI pick your stocks, not having AI jump in and snipe in the futures. No. Using AI to find trends and patterns, asking it the right questions in the right areas, and figuring that out. That's how you make the money. That's what you got to do. Understand how to use the tool, not just what the tool is. All right, I'm out. Hope you enjoyed this. Now I don't have to cut this and edit it because it's live, or at least I don't have to. You know what? I'm just going to throw it up raw. It's up there. I will put a thumbnail on it. Have a wonderful day. For me, it's evening. I think there it's 4 o'clock on the East Coast. No, 4 o'clock on the East Coast. Hello to all my peeps in Kansas, Los Angeles, Florida, China, Albania, all over the world. I'm out.